Good morning, Year 2. It's Miss Addy. Today for maths, our learning question asks us, can I divide by 10? Our steps to success say, I can divide by 10 using the sharing strategy, I can divide by 10 using the grouping strategy, and I can record division number sentences using the division symbol. So our learning questions have been very similar this week. They're all to do with division. We've practiced dividing by 2 and by 5, so today we're practicing dividing by 10. Our first star word is divide, and in red we have the division symbol. We've also got the words share and group. These are the strategies that we've been learning for division. We've also got the phrase equal groups because it is super important that when we're dividing, we're making sure our groups are equal and fair. We've also got the phrase multiples of 10, and these are numbers we say when we count in tens. These numbers are part of the 10 times table. Let's remind ourselves again, what is division? Now, division is one of our 4 operations we use in maths, and it's all about separating things into equal parts. We're focusing on separating amounts, so separating a number into equal parts. And when we divide, we use the division symbol. And we can think about other words as well, words like groups of, and divide and share equally. Now, all week we've been practicing division, and we know now there are 2 strategies, that means 2 special ways that we can divide. We can divide by sharing, and we can divide by grouping. So dividing by sharing. So when we share with our friends, we make sure we all have an equal amount, so it's fair. The same with sharing in math. You might remember this question from the other day, when we had to share out the stars equally between the 10 people. We made sure they all got one before giving out the next row, until they were all gone. We gave out those stars one by one, and that's what we do when we share in math. That helped us write our division number sentence. We started off with 20 stars, and then we shared those stars between the 10 people, and each person received 2 stars. That's why our answer says 2. We can also divide by grouping. Here we've got a slightly different question. You might remember this from the other day, where we had apples and we needed to group them into groups of 10. Now, this doesn't mean doing it individually like sharing. We do them in one go. We counted out 10 apples, then we circled it. We put it into a group, and we did that until all the apples were gone. And this helped us write our division number sentence. 50 divided by 10 equals 5, because we started off with 50 apples, then we grouped the apples, and we put our apples into groups of 10. And then by the end of it, we found we had 5 groups. So we've done a lot of work on dividing by 2 and dividing by 5. But our learning question says today we're dividing by 10. Now, before we can start, we need to remind ourselves about number patterns, and particularly the number pattern when counting in tens. Have a look at the 100 square and have a look at the highlighted numbers. What pattern do you notice? That's right, when we count in tens, we can use the 100 square to help us, and all we need to do is jump down. Now, we can count in multiples of 10 from any number, but our main multiples of 10 are numbers that end in 0. Let's have a go. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. You should have noticed that all of those numbers ended in a 0. They all had 0 ones. Now let's have a go at this question. It says 40 divided by 10. Now we've started with the largest number because when we're dividing, it's very important that we start with the largest number. And we are using the number 40 today because it's a multiple of 10. So first we need 40 objects. I think today we're going to use some aliens to help us. Gosh, that was a lot of counting, but I can see we have 40 aliens and they're organized into neat arrays of 10. So this should help me. So we have our 40 objects, we have our 40 aliens. So let's start by sharing our aliens out. So we have our 40 aliens and we're going to divide them. We're going to use the sharing strategy today. And we're dividing it by 10. And you might be able to spot the 10 spaceships at the top of the screen, which means we're going to share all of the aliens out underneath the spaceships until all of the aliens have gone. So what we're going to do now is share out the aliens one by one underneath each spaceship. But we need to make sure that each spaceship has the same amount of aliens so that it is fair and equal. Fantastic. We've shared out all the aliens beneath each spaceship. Now we need to check that each spaceship has an equal amount of aliens. Can you count how many aliens each spaceship has? That's right, each spaceship has got 4 aliens, which means we can complete our division number sentence now. 40 divided by 10 equals 4. So we began with our 40 aliens. We shared those aliens out underneath 10 spaceships. And each spaceship had 4 aliens. Now we're going to work out the exact same question, but this time we're going to divide using our other division strategy. Can you remember what it is? That's right, it's grouping. So now we're going to work out 40 divided by 10, but by grouping instead. So we need our 40 objects. So let's stick to our 40 aliens. Instead of sharing our aliens, we're going to group our aliens instead, which means we're going to put them into a group of 10 and keep doing this until they're all grouped together. And they're going into groups of 10 this time. So as you can see, I counted out 10 aliens and I drew a shape around my aliens to put them into a group. So now I have one group of 10. Let's do it to another group. Great, we counted out another 10 aliens. Now we have two groups of 10. We counted out another 10 aliens, so now we have three groups of 10. And we've counted out our last 10 aliens, so we have four groups of 10. So by grouping them, we've made four groups. 40 aliens, we grouped them into groups of 2 and we made 4 groups. So our answer is 4. So just to remind ourselves that when we divide by 10, we are separating. Division involves separating into equal groups. Because we're dividing by 10 today, that means we're separating into 10 equal groups. And when we divide by 10, we need to use multiples of 10. So those special numbers that end in 0, that have 0 ones. So when we're selecting a number to divide by, it needs to be either 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, or 100 when we're dividing by 10. So I wonder what would happen if we were to divide an amount that wasn't ending in 0. So any number that doesn't end in 0, do you think we'd be able to divide that equally? We'd be able to share or group that equally? So let's pretend instead of our 40 aliens, we had 43 aliens, and we needed to work out 43 divided by 10. So here are our 43 aliens. And I've grouped the aliens into groups of 10. One group of 10, two groups of 10, three groups of 10, four groups of 10, but oh dear, what do you notice about these 3 aliens now? Are they in a group of 10? No, they're not in a group of 10. They are spare, they are left over. In maths, we call that remainder. So we have 3 leftover aliens that can't go into a group, because remember, our groups can only have 10 aliens in each. So year 2, this is your job for today. I've written down the division number sentence, 30 divided by 10. Now I'd like you to work out that question, but could you draw your working out? Now we have our 2 strategies, sharing and grouping. So you'll need to draw out 30 objects today. That could be 30 pictures, 30 sweets, 30 squares or circles. And the first thing I'd like you to do is have a go at dividing that 30 by 10 through sharing. And then have a go at doing the same thing but grouping. You should get the same answer. The number sentence will be the same, but your strategy will be different. So your working out will be different. Then have a go and think about which you found easier and which you found trickier, dividing by sharing or dividing by grouping. Enjoy your activity, Year 2. Goodbye.